Episode 5 of House of the Dragon should probably just be renamed Criston Cole's Chapter of Failure, as my goodness is this guy feeling the guilt of going against his duty. Firstly, he wants Rhaenyra to cut ties with everything and just run away with him. Then he confesses to Alicent that himself and Rhaenyra got together, and he wasn't even pushed very hard by Alicent either, he just went straight forward very easily. And you think, this guy is trying to be a protector of Rhaenyra, yet he's happily just going to openly admit what happened with her. But his talk with Alicent was very crucial because he requested not to be tortured and instead just be given a merciful death, and she didn't grant that, and he really felt that as the episode went on because he felt like he really deserved to be sentenced to death. So when it comes to the wedding feast, Criston Cole is feeling like he's in too deep, he's like stuck underwater, and he either needs to get up for air or drown. And so when Sir Joffrey Longmouth comes over to him to explain that he knows the whole situation and that they're both in the same situation themselves, he has to take him out, and the Knight of Kisses gets one last pecking.
Pow, right in the kisser.
And with Sir Criston fulfilling the duty of what should have happened to him on somebody else who was in the same boat as him, he then plans to commit suicide, only to be stopped by Alicent, who herself had quite an interesting episode. In the last couple of videos we've been talking about Alicent and that eventually she'll become her own woman, and at the start of the episode she really did actually fight back against her father for once. And he fought back as well, but it showed that she's finally starting to do that. And also in that conversation we mentioned earlier with Criston Cole, she decided what to do in that situation. She could have gone by the book, but instead she went with her own decision. And she follows on from that with the wedding feast, where she comes in on her own wearing that green dress and really making a statement to everyone in the room. I gotta say though, I think the people behind the scenes could have been a bit clever when it comes to actually explaining what the significance of the colour green is in terms of her dress. Instead of just having two men, speaking about it as she's walking down, they could have actually teased it a bit maybe earlier on in the episode. Now let's talk about Daemon, who does seem to be the fan favourite of the show. He didn't really have that much to do this episode, but when he's on screen he really does make an impact. And at the start of the episode we see him with his wife Rhea, and that she falls off the horse. Was it intentional from him? We're not totally sure, but what we do know is that he finished her off. And with Rhea, we only just saw her introduction, and then it's followed swiftly after by her destruction. She really did get the butt end of the deal. Later we see Daemon arrive at the wedding feast, and I really enjoyed his conversation with Rhea's cousin where he's just like, who are you?
I don't even know who you are.
And Daemon put him right in his place when he said about the inheritance he's now going to receive because of her death. Moving on to his brother now, King Viserys, and he was like the Walking Dead this episode. And it makes you beg the question, why was the king going to Driftmark in the first place? He was definitely in no condition to do so. And then you look to his hand, Sir Lionel, and you think, yeah, this guy is looking a bit sketchy. His son also, he seems a bit dodgy. So, he may have got rid of Otto, but the problem still exists. And I have to admit, the end of the episode, I actually thought Viserys died right there on the spot. But as we see in the preview for next week, he's still around somehow. I mean, he looks like a corpse, and he seems to be like a puppet for Sir Lionel. So we'll see how that develops in the next few episodes, because I have no idea how he survived this long. I'd be interested to see how that was the case. But at the time of the wedding feast, he wasn't to be aware that he's going to be like a cat and have 9 lives, and he actually got Rhaenyra and Laena to be married on the spot there, because I think after all the previous engagements sort of ending in not so great of a manner, and with the potential of more mess ups happening as well, I think they just thought, let's just get it done. And just on Laena, that image of him cradling his beloved Joffrey with the blood flowing down and seeing the rats drinking from the blood, that's an image which will really stay in the mind. And I think with that character, I'm really intrigued to see how he progresses in the next few episodes with how his father thinks that he's just going for like a gay phase. I think it'll be really interesting to see how these two actually clash going forward. And early on in the episode, Laenor and Rhaenyra have a conversation on the beach talking about having an open marriage, but instead of talking about it directly, they actually talk about it through a duck and goose talk, which reminded me a little bit of Duck Duck Goose, but also reminded me of that, I'm actually quite hungry at the time watching this show. I wouldn't mind some duck right now. And don't you dare skip on those pancakes. Oh. Anyway, with the relationship drama being quite strong in episode 5, with the political drama sort of coasting along, I think after the time jump in episode 6, we're going to see the political drama sort of coming more to the focus. And on the subject of episode 6, I'm looking forward to see the new actresses take the roles of Alicent and Rhaenyra, and to see their portrayals compared to the ones we've already seen and how different they are. And also as well with the time jump to see some new dragons and also some new players enter the fray. I thought episode 5 overall was a great watch, but it was by no means perfect. I think there were some issues there, but with heads getting smashed in bookending the Green Wedding, it really did serve as a key episode. And now we're at the halfway point of season 1, I can't wait to see where they take this show in the second half. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the show overall as well as this episode in particular. And if you want something else to watch on screen right now, is our review for episode 4 of The Rings of Power.